When it comes to age, Edward is the oldest, but Edward knows his age doesn't matter. He might be old, but he's helpful and very reliable. Some engines make fun of him, but he doesn't care because he knows he's a really useful engine. Edward the Great. One morning at Tidworth's sheds, James was boasting about how useful he was. All the engines knew James wouldn't stay nice and polite for much longer. Edward is old, and he can't do anything, James said, unlike me, who got into the best dressed engine competition. Edward couldn't top that, even if he tried. James, what happened to your nice side? Edward said. Nice? I've grown out of that. You'd probably had stayed like that if you'd grown it up, Gordon said. I agree with Gordon, actually, so like... Oh, hush, little Thomas. Toby and Edward were chuckling to themselves. They were going to let this play on for a little longer. Edward and Toby were good friends and thought that the same things were funny. Whatever you say, James, Edward chuckled. Yes, whatever you say, Toby continued. And Edward puffed away. At Brendam Dock, Salty was being called names by Spencer. Salty felt very unhappy. You are insane! Thinking I'm to take the flower, I'm to take the stone, Spencer argued. Salty was never called insane. He felt like crying as he was so sad. Spencer gave him a bump. Salty oiled back. Edward had to puff up. Hey, what's going on here? Edward said. But Spencer didn't listen. He kept on saying rude things to him and bumping him to an extent. Get away, Edward, before he comes for you. He turned his eyes to Spencer. Be hearty. It was an accident. Okay, I can get your trucks right now. I don't care. You've been doing this for years now, and it's that hard for you to pay attention, he wished. Edward was astonished. He'd never heard anyone talk to each other like that on Sodor. That's when James came, and he bumped into Edward. Move out of the way, you old bucket of steel. You should have went out of action years ago. Hold on, James. Little more things. I don't care. You're in my way. Move. Edward was old and wise and knew exactly what to say. The railway I came from long, long ago. If engines started to argue, they'd be torn to parts. That goes for you too, Spencer, Edward explained. Spencer was confused, and so was James. Spencer sobbed, and so did James. So Spencer rolled away, and Salty got Spencer's trucks. But he was still frightened. Later in the day, Edward was resting in the yard. He was about to go to sleep, right when he heard a whistle. It took him a little bit to think about whose whistle it was, when James ran through the station. Edward, help! Oh, help! Please! Somebody help my brakes! Oh, and I'm not fast enough, Edward said, even though he was. Help! Help! James called. Edward went to chase James down before he had a massive crash. James flew up the hill and down the bend. Edward stayed right behind him, and he puffed as fast as possible. I will stop James! I have to stop James! He yelled. He finally had caught up. His driver was ready to do something he had never done before. He got onto his running board and threw a rope, and it landed on James's left buffer. He jumped back in and applied the brakes. Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Edward, James said, but why'd you help me after what I said to you this morning? I didn't want you to get hurt, Edward said. You should have left me to crash. I don't deserve anything like what just happened, he said. You don't, but I think you do. I think people should get second chances, and he puffed away. James was left with that sentence in his head to think about now, but he didn't know what to do, so he wished and closed his eyes and sat there thinking. Roll the credits.
A Thomas the Tank Engine fan production.